So today's topic is sustainable web design, and I hope I can give you some really useful and practical tips on how to make your own website greener and more sustainable. Okay, so first of all, let's see what we are going to talk about today. First, we will take a look at the meaning of sustainability and discuss what it means when it comes to website design. Then I'd like to talk about a common concern. It is that you have to sacrifice aesthetics and functionality for sustainability. I hear it a lot, and we will see if it's true or not, or at least my point of view and opinion. Then I'm going to tell you a few tips and tricks to make your website more sustainable and some best practices for a lower carbon footprint that you can use before creating your website, or even if you already have an existing website for your business. And yeah, I will tell you a few things, tools that I suggest to avoid in order to make sure your website is as ecologically friendly as possible. So first, let's see the meaning of sustainability and the connection between sustainability and web design. So sustainability, basically, it's the avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. Or in other words, sustainability, and I love this definition, sustainability consists of fulfilling the needs of current generations without compromising the needs of future generations, while ensuring a balance between economic growth, environmental care, and social well-being. It's a beautiful concept, isn't it? And what is web design? My favorite definition is that web design creates the overall look and feel when you are using a website. And I like it because it includes the feeling too. So it's not only about the graphic design. And I find this really important because that feeling is something that the website owner or creator can really influence and use for influence. Without this, the website would be, just a bunch of information, and it would be hard to remember. It would be wouldn't be very memorable and wouldn't really encourage any action, which is our goal here. Now let's see why sustainability is important when it comes to web design, and it is going to be hard. According to Internet World Stats, there are approximately 1.8 billion websites running online, drawing in over 4 billion daily visitors. This is obviously a lot, and it definitely needs energy. And here comes carbon footprint and sustainability when we are talking about energy. So it's a huge amount of energy. The use of the internet alone causes emissions of approximately 2.33 tons of, no, it's 2.33 million tons. Sorry, I'm very bad at English numbers. Tons of carbon dioxide and consumes 2.34 million megawatt per hour of electricity every day. So if the internet were a country, it would be the 7th largest carbon dioxide emissions polluter in the world and makes up 4% of all greenhouse gases. So even if we are vegans, our websites have to be sustainable. So basically, we can say that we need to reduce energy consumption to be more eco-friendly when it comes to websites. But how can we achieve this? Well, mostly by reducing the size of our websites and the time they need to load in. At this point, we could close this part or the whole presentation saying that smaller and faster websites are better, and end of story. However, it is also vital not to forget the already mentioned feeling, because we have to keep the feeling and make the website sustainable at the same time. So when creating a sustainable website, our task is to find a balance between our goals and the environmental impact and energy demand caused by the tools we use for our website. And we've just arrived at our next part, which is balance. There is a palpable contradiction between using minimal resources and providing rich, flashy visual experience. This becomes obvious even more when we think about all the effort during both the implementation and the actual rendering of a web page, which employs complex visual effects. Surely, web technologies evolved from the primarily text-based web in an incredible way, and there are examples out there where a website may be on par with the latest visual effects known from movies or computer games. It is clear that application of such visuals increases costs and reduces sustainability in many ways. But we encourage everyone to consider designing a website is to take an honest look at what their purpose is and choose the appropriate tools with those goals in mind. There are certain cases when a novelty website inviting the visitors into an immersive visual narrative is adequate. However, there is a reason why these kinds of websites, despite the fact that the technology has been available for decades, still focus on written information. This is because unless we are looking at examples of artistic expression or entertainment, the primary focus is still conveying messages, providing information, and encouraging visitors to take a desired action, aka conversion. So it is beyond question that the choice between sustainability and rich effects is necessary. However, we don't think that there is such a choice necessary between an engaging user experience and sustainability. When a website is built from the beginning with sustainability as a primary consideration in mind, and with care taken at every level for optimal resource usage, rich state-of-the-art implementation is perfectly viable. With all the tools the modern web gives us, it is our responsibility, but also freedom to choose those which increase user engagement and confidently identify a wide set of possibilities to choose from. So when it comes to designing the experience the visitors of a website are exposed to, we have to keep it in mind. Yeah, what else? Yeah, customer experience. We can look for inspiration at minimalism in design and architecture, which suggests that design should be reduced to the necessary elements. But the key here is how we define necessity. Indeed, it is very easy to strip a strip a website of all images or custom fonts or styles, and what we would end up with may certainly be the lowest possible carbon dioxide footprint version one can make. But reducing environmental impact in itself is a no-brainer because of the feeling that I've already mentioned. The real challenge, however, is to balance the costs and results, to accept or reject certain aspects of environmental and economical impact based on how it fits into larger picture of our goals. Yeah. And obviously, making a change in the world is impossible without investment. What we aim at, instead of simply finding the least possible investment, is to find the optimal amount of resource usage that maximizes the result per every unit of such resources spent. Every bit of extra network transfer is okay, as long as it has a valid purpose and realistic return in the context of our goals. And every extra image is a valid addition if we can reasonably assume someone will look for that to decide if they want to choose that product or service we offer, or if we can keep a user from abandoning the site with a few extra animation or messages while they wait for the longer process to finish, it may well be worth doing so. So what I'm saying is that we should not be afraid to explore the possibilities digital technology gives us, even in terms of multimedia, as long as it has an associated goal and is evaluated for the overall cost benefit, including but not restricted to the primary footprint of delivering the given experience over the web. So I know it was a bit too much about balance, but to summarize what has been said so far, user experience is key and it is not something to compromise on. So you don't have to drop all the multimedia from your website just to make it sustainable with 2 or 3 words or sentences on it. And if you cannot provide your visitors the right information, guiding them through the page flow, because there is a journey for the visitors, then their presence on your website becomes totally unnecessary. And you have just produced some unnecessary carbon footprint too. Of course, not all website visits end with a purchase immediately at the first occasion, or won't call you immediately when they come to your website, or whatever the objective is. But it is really important to test what works best for you and to use your online tools and resources consciously. Okay, so let's leave all the contemplation and see some useful tricks and tips. So, yeah. I try to find those steps that do not require huge professional knowledge, and and you can with those you can make your site not only more sustainable but only more efficient. So it's a win-win situation. First, here is green web hosting. So probably this is the best known aspect of sustainable web design. However, hosting is only the part of the story. There are 3 main actors when you open a website: the server, the network of the internet, and the computer or other device. And by choosing a sustainable hosting provider, you can only affect one of these 3. Energy consumption by the other 2 parts will only depend on how well your website is built. In fact, the energy consumed by the global transmission network is roughly the same as the energy consumed by the server parks. So the third actors produce the third. We can say roughly. So it's good if you choose a green web hosting service, but there are many other things that can and should be done. Now let's talk about the other 2 parts that we can influence. Images. Let's continue with images. I see wonderful websites with huge images that need a century to load in. This is inconvenient for the user and bad for the environment. Image files can easily add a lot of overhead to web traffic and can quickly increase the emission levels of a site. Loading takes more time and more energy than in case of properly optimized images. Not to mention the higher bounce rate they can cause because of the bad UX. Image file size mainly depends on 3 factors: the quality or compression rate, the dimensions or resolution, so it's the height and the width in pixels technically, and the third one is the file format, such as JPG, PNG, WebP. Knowing these, how can we optimize our website images? I suggest playing with quality and resolution, keeping in mind the location and function of the image. For example, if it's not necessary to upload a huge image if it's going to be just a small profile image, or if an image is used as a background image, it doesn't need to be high quality, doesn't need to be a high quality picture. File format, the third thing, is trickier, but as a general rule, I'd say prefer optimized file formats such as JPEG and WebP. Okay, the third point is responsive design. Yeah, different devices have different capabilities. The most prominent is screen size, but also touch screens require larger clickable areas. There is no effective way to show tooltips on mouse over and such things. So there is no one size that fits all. This is obvious. The same information and actions need a different UI to have the same usability on different devices. Of course, it's best if we take this into account in the planning stage so early, and create a responsive website. However, if you already have a website, you can still do a lot. First of all, and in my experience, this is something that few business owners do. Check your website on different devices, at least on your phone. And it's even better if you do it regularly. This way you can see what probably the majority of your website visitors see. And I recommend paying attention to the size of the clickable areas and the operation of the menu and proper alignment. Then, of course, any errors should be corrected. Oh, and one more thing, it's worth checking out the website speed too on mobile, because usually the website speed is better on desktop, and there can be a huge difference between the speed on mobile and speed on desktop devices. Okay, so website speed. Let's talk about website speed in more detail. Why is that so important? First of all, visitors don't want to wait. I think it's not a not a huge invention by myself. Your website has 2 seconds to load in, or about half of your visitors will leave, based on the survey of digital.com from last year. In other words, the slower the website, the higher the bounce rate. And I used the bounce rate, but I didn't explain it to you. So bounce rate is the percentage of visitors that leave a web page without taking any action. Yeah, so site abandonment can be painful, especially if you have actually paid for these visitors. So they came by paid social or paid search, and it is painful for the environment too, because every visitor who comes to the site unnecessarily means wasted energy. On the other hand, the longer the website takes to load in, the more server capacity and energy it consumes. Yeah. How to speed up your website? Image optimization, make it mobile friendly, and don't use unnecessary stuff. Don't use unnecessary plugins or unnecessary scripts. Just don't upload everything on your website. It's gonna be okay someday. Oh, it's gonna be useful someday, because it is totally useless now, and produces more carbon footprint, and makes your website slower, and you are technically losing customers or new connections because of it, leads. And yeah, what we have, UX. This UX is a huge topic. I'm just going to touch it and tell you a few things, but I could talk about this one about hours. Just let's see a few things. So what happens when the page is loaded? We are okay in 2 seconds, and our visitor starts to explore it. Our mission here is to help visitors find the information they are looking for as quickly as possible. By reducing the number of page loads and the time spent on the page looking for information, we can effectively reduce the energy costs, both on the server and on the client side. And to achieve this, here are some best practices. First, information hierarchy. I hope I pronounce it well, hierarchy. The most important information has to be the most visible, the biggest or the most colorful, or anything you choose to make it the most visible. The less important extra information can be smaller. And I'm not just talking about the text here. Images, videos, and other graphic elements can also carry information. And we just have to choose the one that can convey the information most easily. It's always, so we always have to consider this before just, putting there some text or such things. Another thing is readability. I see a lot of problems with this on websites when I see dark gray text on black background. No one can read this. I know it can look really fancy, but no one can read this. I see 10 pixels, pixel size, this text, which is not readable. I mean, not everyone has glasses, but even those who don't have glasses can't read too small text. Don't be afraid of huge text. It's totally okay. People can scroll. So the screens can move. It's totally okay to use bigger text. For instance, the contrast that I mentioned, the text background, these can be easily improved. Not a big deal. You just have to change the color and the size of the text. And another important thing here is, this is a bit more difficult, but to focus on making the website actionable. This doesn't mean only a clear call to actions, like not just click here. Don't just write this click here on a button, because it's not obvious what will happen once I click on that button. But most pages are designed with a specific goal intended for the visitor. And if someone opens a page and leaves it without taking action, it is not only a business opportunity lost, it is also waste of all the energy used to load that page. So make sure that there are clear visitor journeys for each segment of your business. What else? We need to ensure proper focus on what each visitor persona may want to achieve and design suitable user journeys. That's what I wanted to say. And yes, there's a +1, my favorite, because I worked as a market research specialist before, so I love data. And I always recommend everyone to use data, because data is in most cases free. Your own data is free for you, and you can use it to achieve your goals and to make your website more sustainable at the same time. I highly recommend collecting data about your website, the behavior of your visitors, and not just collecting, but analyzing it from time to time. So use Google Analytics and Search Console regularly. I don't know if you guys use it. And make all the relevant step-ups to make sure that you can follow what is important for you, so you can make business and eco-conscious choices. And a few words on what to avoid. Mm.
It's brilliant, Csilla. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes left.
Okay, that's totally enough. So a few words on what to avoid. First, I'm sorry, but page builders like Elementor and Divi, because these tools load in a bunch of codes, scripts that cause unnecessary energy consumption on all three sides, server, network, and device that I've already mentioned. And because of the more data and computation, so higher energy consumption. Not to mention that they are usually really slow, which increases the previously mentioned bounce rate. The same goes for weeks and square space, so these page builder sites. I mean, they are totally okay as a start, but later, if you want to make your website more sustainable, it's really hard to do with these tools. I've already mentioned unnecessary plugins and huge image and video files. And unnecessary design elements like hero videos without a really important message. So just just to make it fancy, this is totally not unnecessary and not sustainable. This is totally not necessary and not sustainable. Unused font files, because it's hard to believe, but they are still have to render in the background, which also consumes electricity. And bot traffic, building and maintaining a comprehensive list of bad bots is not a task for anyone to do in their own, but it is fairly easy to grab some trusted pre-compile lists of EPs to block, which can help you to eliminate the vast majority of malicious visitors, because these can make your website slower too. So do we have 1 more minute for summary? Okay.
Yep.
So in summary, websites have energy cost and carbon dioxide footprint. If we want to make them more sustainable, we need to focus on reducing their electricity consumption. User experience is key, and it is not something to compromise on. We need to find a balance here. If we can ensure an adequate website speed and proper user journeys for each of our visitor segments or websites, our website will waste less energy and bring more value to everyone. And collecting and analyzing data is the best way to make sure that we make the right choices for both for our businesses and the environment. Okay, I hope you find this interesting and I could give you some useful information on the topic. Of course, it was just a short summary. As you may see, I could talk about it for days, but we regularly share information about sustainable web design on our website. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always send me an email or message on LinkedIn. Book a free consultation if you need something, or you can just ask now. And thanks for your attention.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. There was so much amazing information there.